So in this sixth memory tips video, we're going to take a little bit of a tangent today and talk about a guaranteed 1,000 to 1 investment. Have you ever heard of the guy who walked away from Apple early on? I feel sorry for him. I mean, think about it. If there was a guaranteed investment of 1,000 times and you put in $1, sure, you'd get $1,000 back. But if your friend put in $100, he'd walk away with $100,000. Or to put another way, I knew a friend once whose lottery pool at work won the lottery and he didn't get a ticket. Do you want to be that guy? Well, what we're going to talk about today is the massive benefits of training your memory. Is it really, and I'm going to give you some numbers, is it really worth the time and effort? Did you know that the average person, according to multiple studies, spends 29 minutes per day looking for lost items? If you add up all 5 of my memory tips videos so far, they add up to about 35 minutes. So in about the time we spend in a single day just looking for lost stuff, we've discovered, number 1, how to avoid misplacing your keys or phone or other things, how to memorize names and faces, memorizing unlimited lists of information, learning tough vocabulary and foreign languages. By this point, I've hopefully demonstrated to you that your memory is actually quite good already and can be trained very easily for some really powerful things. So what is the cost of not training your memory and the value if you do? First of all, let's just look at these lost items. Multiple studies put the average time at roughly 182 hours every year looking for stuff that you've misplaced. What would you do with 182 hours every year? A lot. And don't think it's just older folk who are losing stuff. Studies actually show that millennials are twice as likely to lose things than baby boomers. That's actually because of multitasking, which is another thing that we're going to talk about later. Think about in this 182 hours that we spend every year looking for things that have been misplaced, the stress that it causes. It makes us late to work. It makes us late to school. And the money involved, the average person spends at least $100 every year replacing for things that never get found. And think about the risk. 1/3 of the time, it's a lost smartphone that has all of your personal data, even business data on it. And 1/5 of the time, it's a lost wallet or purse. Think of how much work it takes to replace what's in one of those. For students, I got to share a little bit for myself. I discovered these memory techniques roughly 35 years ago. And in my own life, I cut my homework down at least by half, and yet my grades went up substantially. I mean, what is a scholarship worth? A single scholarship is worth a lot of money. I actually didn't have to pay for my whole first 2 years of university or getting into a better college. I didn't end up going there, but Harvard not only accepted me, but they told me I could go straight into second year because of my marks. What's that worth? And check this out. With only a little training, and this sounds ridiculous, but it is absolutely provable. With only a little training, you can literally memorize entire textbooks, accessible by page number. I could say, what's page 132 of the psychology textbook, and you could tell me what was on that page. You can literally study for the test in your mind. Every test becomes an open book test when you've got it all in your mind. Even if you didn't go that far in your training, you can spend far less time studying, have much less stress, and yet get better marks in school by a long shot. In business, I mean, before I go to any kind of seminar, I always memorize the names, faces, and bios of the speakers that are at that seminar. If there's a small group, usually what happens to that small group, people introduce themselves, I'll just memorize it. That way when I'm talking to people later, I already have started a mental file for each person that any new information that I get about that person, I'm already filing away. How valuable is that? If there's any information on social media, not just by, we will often do that kind of research when we're going to a seminar or a business meeting, but you can actually memorize that information. People with a deep mental Rolodex are much more likely to make the deal. And think about if you're never forgetting things, if you're on top of all the details, if you remember a wider network of people, you have quick access to reference material, stocks, stock information. If you're on top of all of these things, it makes you more effective at social gatherings and much more likely to get a promotion, a freelance job, or to make the deal. Which presentations are more impactful? Ones where people are reading from a book, from prepared notes, or ones that are actually done freely from memory and out of an overflow of remembered facts that also make answering questions much more easy. Remembering details also means that you can cross-reference information. As you're studying something else, you'll remember previous things you studied and how it relates to the things that you're reading at the moment. And that actually gives you a deeper understanding of the material. You can fact check much more easily. A better vocabulary means more effective communication, both written and spoken. For performers, you can memorize entire screenplays or entire plays, not just your own part, but everybody's part. Churchgoers, you can memorize verses of the Bible very easily. You can also memorize entire chapters or entire books of the Bible. You can build a detailed prayer list in your mind. Even if all you wanted out of all of this was not to lose the remote control, do you know that the average person spends 30 hours every year just looking for the remote control to the TV? So if you put less than 30 hours into this, you're at least going to get that. So what I'm asking you to do today, and the reason I wanted to take a tangent like this, is going ahead in the next memory tips videos, it's going to be really helpful to have reference material to follow. And so I'm going to ask for you to spend $14 and order one of Harry Lorayne's memory books and commit to reading it cover to cover and doing the exercises. At the very least, have the book handy as we talk about the PEG system of memorizing numbers. It's going to be much, much more helpful if you have that reference material handy. I'm providing links to my recommended books in the comments of these videos. The main book is the memory book. That's the general book for everyone. Then there's also specialized books for students and for more mature people. One of them is Super Memory, Super Student, which basically you don't need to get multiple books, just get one, because all of the books cover the main concepts, and then the specialized books just have extra applications for those groups, like say for instance studying for different kinds of material, for math, for science, fractions, etc. And then there's also specialized books for more mature people, and there is one for business, but I would suggest that you don't start with that one because it doesn't have as much of the general detail in there. So the memory book is the main one, or if you're a student, you can get Super Memory, Super Student. And then I also link to another one for more mature people in the show notes or the comments of the Facebook post. So please, please, please buy that $14 book. It's going to pay for itself, and I urge you to invest the time into this. It will pay back 1,000 times guaranteed. Thanks so much for watching.